All right, so I want to speak about mental illness, and not from a place of, for me, gaining sympathy, because I'm going to be sharing some testimony, but more for an educational reasons. So I just pray, Lord, that you would guide me in what I'm going to share, and just help me to contain my emotions and guide me in what you wanted me to say, and to hold back where I should not speak. So, just to begin with some of my own personal experience. So I struggled from my teens onwards with illness, and my brother, he also struggled, and he was from about the age of 10. And unfortunately, and I get very emotional about this because he's never had a full-time job, and he's still very much in the grips of that type of suffering. So my home was very broken, and my parents were broken people, just like we all are, and it was also a spiritually dark home. We had some, Christian moral beliefs, but we didn't practice. We weren't born again, and we didn't practice Christianity. We didn't go to church, and I don't recall any history of Christianity in the family line. So I had my first emotional and mental breakdown at the age of about 21, and how I can explain it is difficulty speaking, thinking, even just doing. I would procrastinate. I couldn't move from one spot to another sometimes for 5-10 minutes. Extreme confusion, fear, a lot of fear. I had a lot of fear in my home growing up, panic and dread. And also, you could imagine a person hurting themselves physically, breaking an arm or something like that, and the pain that caused. Well, for me, in the mind, I had extreme mental anguish and pain, and at times I would scream, I was pulling at my hair, and just pain in the head. And also, I remember my face inwardly felt like it was being contorted down. This was in the middle of the actual breakdown. Like my mouth felt like it was been a big frown. It was just contorted down. It was really hard to sort of explain, but anyway, trying to move forward in my life was like I was pulling a house behind me. All I wanted to do was move forward, and this weight. And I remember even saying to my mum as a teenager, I don't know how I'm going to survive, Mum, when I'm out of home and on my own. I don't know how I'm going to live, how I'm going to survive. And sure enough, I had a breakdown. And that happened when I was out of home and overseas. So I managed to get home, and only by God's mercy that I was able to actually physically get on an aeroplane in such a place, in such a state, and come home. Inwardly, having been away from my home for so long and then coming back, I started to see some things that I hadn't seen before. There was some truth there about myself and about my family situation that I could see quite clearly. And all I wanted to do was talk and confront and get it out. I just felt if I could just do that, I'd feel so much better. And I felt like I wanted to explode because but I couldn't. My family were broken people. They weren't prepared to face that, and there was more reasons as to why I became mentally ill as well. So I went to a psychiatrist. My dad took me there, my mum, and that's who I was able to offload to. I was able to talk to the psychiatrist and also medication, and that's what helped me. Medication absolutely helped me to ease that pain in my head. And over the years, I became a bit like a broken record. I would talk about to my friends the stuff I went through over and over. And I'm doing a diploma with community services at the moment, and they even have told us that when you're counselling a person, if they repeat themselves, that's really important what they're saying. You need to hone in on that because it's significant. So, and it's very true. So, so pretty much through seeing some of that truth, and it was very confronting, but it helped me. I believe God showed that stuff to me, and it gave me the ability to receive some healing at that time and to be able to talk to the psychiatrist about it. But I was still a very dysfunctional person, and given a mental health diagnosis, and pretty much felt like, where's my future now? So, and I ran away into sin, really. It was a very dark time in those first about year. And I could only say by God's mercy that I was able to that I'm still here and that I didn't go so low. And eventually, in my early 30s, I turned to the Lord, and in repentance and faith, and was we went to church as a family in my teens for a couple of years, and I believe that's when I was actually born again. But we left that church quite abruptly because my brother became ill. He had his first breakdown when we were there, and anyway, that's another story. So I came to the Lord in my 30s. I had Ezra, he was a baby, and I needed help. I started to get sick again. My relationship was breaking down. And, I came to the Lord. And as soon as I realised that was the truth, and my experience back at church as a teen always resonated with me for all those years, and I never looked back, really. I never looked back as soon as I came to the Lord then, and I realised this is what's going to pull me through. And over the time, the Lord slowly restored my broken mind. I did have 3 more hospital admissions in my early Christian walk. But with the Lord, He's given me, I've been able to face the reality of myself and my own personal sin, my childhood, demonic things going on as well, contributing to illness, and also just my life, generational stuff, and He's been able to change my behaviour. I've learned about forgiveness. None of this has been instant. It's taken time, and I remember at a point in my early work realising, like the truth of the Bible, that this is going to be my foundation. I can hold on to this, and I can make it my life. I can base my life on this, and this is amazing. I was just so excited that I had something so firm. I was living on my own with Ezra, and that's what I decided I was going to do. So it's now been 7 years since I've been off antidepressants, psychotropic drugs, antipsychotics, medication-free. And I'm now maintaining wellness by walking with Jesus and trying to be disciplined. Thanks. Glory to the Lord, because He's the one who's done the work in my life. He's healed me from my diagnosis of schizoaffective disorder in my early 20s, OCD and panic attacks. And labels aside, it's all basically brokenness. I was a very broken person. I do still struggle with anxiety, so I'm working on that with the Lord. So I don't know why he has set me free of these things, and my brother is still suffering, but I do know he will be set free too one day. I do know that Jesus loves people with mental health issues. And I just encourage you to be that person to walk alongside someone who's suffering, and especially if they can't talk to talk to their family, talk to the loved ones. They desperately need someone that they can offload to, share burdens with. And I just encourage you to pray for that. Pray that the Lord will bring those people to you. Mental illness is very complex. It can involve past trauma inflicted by others or self-inflicted. It also has spiritual elements. It affects the biological makeup of the person's brain and how it functions and how it processes things, and then that results in affecting of behaviour. And causes dysfunction. It can happen during early childhood brain development. The effects can be long-term, and sometimes the effects of that damage in early childhood might not surface until the person's an adult. I don't know all the reasons why people get mental health issues and what the causes are, but they're just some of them that I could think of. But the good news is Jesus can heal the mind and the brain, the spirit, and he can do that separate from the people involved who may have, been broken and contributed to some of those issues. Like what I'm suggesting is you don't have to confront people who may have hurt you to be able to move on from that. With the Lord, he's able to do the work. And also with a Christian family. So healthy Christian relationships can heal the mind. And if he doesn't completely heal in this life, that's his ways. I don't understand how that all works, but I know he can ease the burden of the suffering of that person. And I know that because he still is doing that with myself, with anxiety. So I meditate on Jesus sometimes if I'm feeling anxious and I'm lying down, and sometimes all I can do is just say Jesus, Jesus, Jesus over in my mind. And eventually that'll alleviate it. Sometimes it takes it away. And I'm finding that I can even receive joy in the midst of that suffering if I do that. I'm a very driven person and I still worry way too much. So perhaps when I have those things a bit more under wraps, I won't be so have the anxiety. But yeah, I've gone from a life where I've been just surviving to thriving, all because of the Lord's goodness to me. Again, he loves people with mental health issues, and I just ask that you would go out of your way for them. Christian or non-Christian, they need hope and love. And I encourage you to be educated and ready, because unfortunately there will be more mental health, as you would already know, that will come about in the world, especially with fear and that sort of thing, and sin and everything. Beyond Blue is a good website you can go to. I've got some